Like, of course, like by Chet Ega also, it's like, no, they're like, give us your jewelry, and you're like, no, I'm gonna keep that. Like, you go take whatever you want. Like, we were not involved in that, in Chet Ega, we were not involved in Chet Hamaraglim. Why? Not just because, like, obviously, like, we're women or whatever, but why? What is the energy of masculinity?
Action.
What happens? Okay, let's just paint the scenario. I'll paint the scenario of like a KMH Mavache Shabbos. Okay, so the men go to shul. They go early. They go prachados. They go to the mikvah. They go to shul. Right? Mm-hmm. They're there for hours and hours and hours. And what are we doing at home? Well, actually, not us, because we get to come to shul also. But what happens at that point? We're home, right? We bench left. We're like, hey, good Shabbos, bye. I'm lucky if I'm wearing a sheitel when I bench left, even though I started trying to do it and started trying to be ready because I started going to shul on Shabbos. But Friday night, but the typical thing would be like, hey, bye, see you in 4 hours. Let me make you take all the dips. Let me take out the salad. Let me warm up the challah. Blah, blah. And then I sit, and they're like, they're not home yet. I'm like, okay, fine. Okay, let's put the baby to sleep. Let's do this. Let's do that. Okay, the neighbor comes over, send them home, clean the house up again because it became a mess again from, not from my kids, but... And then we like sit down and they come home and they're like, Shalom Aleichem, right? I laugh. Do you watch I feel like your husband was making fun of the Shabbat Shalom video. Probably. When they're like the Shabbos Shani. So every time like the kids walk in, I'm like, I'll send you the clip. It's like a Thank You Hashem music video for Shabbos. My kids love it. It starts off with Shabbos Shani. So I always say that whenever they walk in from shul. Anyways, so they come in and they're like singing and they're in the upper worlds. They just experienced davening. They just said L'chadodi. They just welcomed the Shabbos Queen. And I'm like, I spilled the tchina, I made an Israeli salad, I have no more salt, I went to the neighbor to get salt, I forgot to, we are in the world of action. We really are. Think about even just the way that a child is created, right? Okay? The concept that we are literally creating something inside of us for 9 months before the thing is even born. We're already vomiting, we're already sick, we're already, right? And it's like we are in the action, guy, done, on to the next, into the spiritual world. It's a crazy concept to think, even though we think, yes, we are more spiritually connected. I always say this, that's why women don't need a bris milah, and that's why we shasani kirtzono, right? But in energy-wise, okay, let's take away the Shabbos example. And energy-wise, masculine energy is all this concept of spiritual. It's in the upper world. It's abstract. It's chachma, right? Chachma is a burst of light. It's like a light bulb that goes off in your head. It's energy that can do something, and it's endless, right? It's endless. Sperm is endless. The idea of femininity is action. You take that and then you build something and you create something with it. So when the men, the spies went into Eretz Yisrael and they said, oh my gosh, we're going to have to peel these vegetables and they're huge and we're going to have to work and we're going to have to take Meister, and we're like, yeah, that's girl math. Like, we do that. Like, we know exactly what to do. You bring up the paycheck, I'll go grocery shopping, right? You ever send a guy to go grocery shopping? Like 4 hours later and with like ingredients that don't make sense. I don't know. Some people have like very capable husbands, so I shouldn't put them down. And 25 vocals. I'm like, you know what? You're going to go to the store. I'm going to put my phone on airplane mode. Done. Sorry, you can't reach me, right? I know. And I'm not like I don't mean to put it down, but I'm just showing you, like, in a very extreme example, masculinity is abstract. They didn't understand. Kulam anashim. They didn't understand that we're going to have to apply all of this. We're going to actually have to do something with it. By the way, if you want to just know how to infuse your Shabbos table with both of that thing, is you take all the energy and you say Good Shabbos and you keep calm, and then you let all that energy from whatever happened at davening flow into your Shabbos table that you created beautifully. You made the kli. He's able to give the energy. So that means Shabbos questions, and we started doing Shabbos learning, 3 minutes, and it's Zmiros. Like, I never understood Zmiros. Like, why are we singing Yam Dam Chobani, right? Like, what is it? It's getting everything involved, but you are the kli to channel that energy. So know that, just as like a side point. So when it says Kulam Anashim, it's because they didn't understand that concept. It was something that was different to them, and we're like, we got this. Let's settle the land. Let's go. I'm ready. I think about this all the time when I see like the women soldiers. Like, it makes me so happy. Like, like you're like, they're also fighting. Like,
That clip of these 3 women that like saved the whole like.
I'm like, oh my gosh, like put me in that world of Instagram. Like I can't do the sad things and the scary things. Like I want to see those things. Okay, so now they were clearly mistaken, and Korach was also mistaken. So now what we have to do is we have to take this concept that there is something called action and there is something called intention, and if I infuse it together, it will be something beautiful. So how do we go about that? How do we do that? Let me just go back, sorry. Okay, so now let's try to understand why kavana is important. So kavana is intention, right? We always talk about when we're in school, kavana, you have to have kavana when you're davening. What does kavana add to it? Okay, so I think about this sometimes. Like you ever had like a teacher who was just like the funnest teacher? Like, just like, I like close my eyes. No, not me. Where'd you go? Okay, like Mrs. Ackerman, right? Like, yeah, like she was my math teacher. She happens to be Joey Newcomb's mother-in-law, obviously, like whatever. She's just the Lisa Ackerman, anybody knows she was in Frockway? Like, I just want to give her a shout out because she was like, what? She went to Camp Shira. She was ahead of the lake. She's just the best teacher. She means well everything. She's so good, right? She just gives so much love into her job, right? Then you could have a teacher that is like totally robotic. Okay, fine. But bottom line, I knew my vocabulary words. Like I knew ELA because of this teacher. She was extremely, extremely robotic, but there was like no emotion. And then there was the teacher who just was all emotion and you learned nothing. Okay, you had so much fun. Rabbi Weisberger. He was the best Rabbi. He was the best teacher. He he didn't care about class. He was very old, and he was like incredible. He was like a big tzaddik. By the way, he ran like a whole organization. He like sent shoes to Eretz Yisrael. Like before people were doing any of this stuff, he had a massive organization. We used to go there. Do you ever go there to that house on Sunday to like peer shoes together? He would literally send shoes to Eretz Yisrael. It was amazing. Honestly, like I learned nothing. He wasn't strict. He didn't really care if you were there. He was old, so he had one person be his monitor to take attendance. That was me. Here comes all the chapters of like guilt and shame. It's just coming out. It's like pouring out. And it's like, everyone's like, Faigy, just mark me. I was in class. I'm like, yeah. Like I would like log it. I would like sign in and then I would leave, right? Come back, this and that. It was just, I didn't learn anything. So we have these examples of teachers that can have, and these are people in life that can have all action, no emotion, all emotion, no action, and then that blend of action with emotion. It's like you're getting the service, you're getting the information, you're getting the knowledge, but you're getting it with a smile and you're getting it with fun. Like my daughter in Tag has Mar Sharf. Like she had last year. She will sing her songs from here to tomorrow. Do you have Mar Sharf this year?
Yeah, we did.
Like
I had her.
you had her, right?
And I kept her notebooks until I got married.
Oh my gosh. So it's like you have these connections with teachers that give over everything. It's like service with a smile. It's learning with like chizuk and everything. And that's what kavana is. Kavana, listen, you're doing it anyway. You're hired, you're a teacher, you're on payroll, you're getting paid. But if I do it with a little bit of extra joy, smile, happiness, simcha, feeling, emotion, I'm already there. It just adds a little bit more. And that is, you're already making a dir b'tachtonim for Hashem. You're action-based Yiddishkeit. You are teaching them. They know malachim. They know this, right? Like, Zachary taught a bunch of subjects. I'm thinking, like, in the end, earth science. She also taught math, right? Like, you're teaching the material anyway. Y equals mx plus b. But make it fun. Make the Y into a person that I will always remember. I never know which one's X or which one's Y, and it doesn't matter. But if you taught it in a song, I'm going to know, and it's going to get me a little bit further. You're already doing the action. You're cooking for Shabbos. You're making Shabbos. You made your grocery order. It's all here. Everything's here. You can do it in the grumpiest way, and you can say, I'm doing it, but I'm going to put a little bit more love in it. I'm going to play music. I'm going to sing. I'm going to act silly. I'm going to make mistakes, and I'm not going to lose it because I'm already there. So the kavana piece is important, but it comes after the action. Don't forget that. You're doing it. It's not like, oh, I'm getting into emotion state so that I can do it. You're doing it. Do it. Start off with action. Keep it going forward. Keep the continuum going with a little bit more emotion. And it's a cool concept because when we go all the way back to the beginning and we explained how emotions are created, I'm not going to test you on which chapter it was. I think it was 1617 and then 1825. We said there are two ways of creating emotion. What were those ways?
Meditation.
Meditation, which was very Sorry, you're like in my. I'm like you're in my blind spot. You know that day. It was meditation, which is doing it very slowly, and then there's.
I forgot the word, but it's like pseudo emotions and like.
What's that word? It's actually related to what? It's related to the feminine energy, which we said if men was chachma, what was the bina? What is that word now? Remember, it was tvunos. Remember we said tvunos, find little feelings that are out there, like, oh my gosh, it's gorgeous today. Yes, it's 30 degrees, but it's sunny. I'm happy. Like, maybe I'll go for a walk, you know? But tvunos are those little things that we can do. So that's a slow, meditative way to connect to Hashem and emotion. And then we said, 1825, press the emergency button and say, Hashem, right now, what do we say? Remember the emergency button? Like the rules for the emergency button?
I'm doing this or I'm disconnected.
I'm doing this or I'm disconnected, but I'm also tapping into something that I have that's inside of me that's already there. Yes, I need to see your mother again. I need to give her a good report. That you like the beginning chapters. I know now it's a workbook, right? I know now it's very like, what? It's very technical. I know. It's hard. Reading this inside was so hard. Last night I was like breaking my teeth. So this idea where we know how to create emotions. In the beginning, we spoke about creating emotions. So now do the action and then start creating those emotions. So those emotions can be slow. So last night I was like, no, I'm not in the mood to make Shabbos. Like, no, right? So I hit an emergency button. I'm like, you know what? My great-great-great-great-great-grandparents were keeping Shabbos years and years before me. There's something that's inside of me. There's this latent love. There's this Ava Mesuteres that's inside of me that they did it. I'm going to do it, right? Or the people in Eretz Yisrael who can't make Shabbos, I'm going to think about them and I'm going to do it. Or you could be that person who, like, on Monday, you're like, oh, this week is Shabbos Ishbitz, okay? So it's going to be an amazing Shabbos where I'm having company, I'm going to make grocery orders. That was the slow way of connecting to it, right? Like, okay, so make the grocery order, find new recipes, find new this, find new that. I'm just giving you my personal examples. It could be anything. I'm also just trying to tell you the way that I worked out things this week. But that's the way you could either do it slowly or you could do it fast. But when you bring the emotion into, oh my gosh, she's sitting on the floor. You're leaving. Okay, don't worry. Happens to be, I was like trying to be on time, so we're going to wrap up soon. But the idea where you're already doing the action, bring in the emotion, but whichever way you want to connect to at that point. We know how to create emotion. We keep saying emotion, emotion, emotion. How do I do it? I meditate, I do slowly, whatever. So you could do the slow work all week, but whenever you feel like you need to hit that emergency button, you do it. Because in 35, 36, and 37, we're ready to the action. So we know what we do. We know what we need to do. We just want to add the emotion to it. So... Okay.
No. I was just gonna ask, is there like levels of greatness in how we connect to Hashem?
Yeah.
So like, what would you put down? Like, what would you?
How would you layer it?
How would you layer?
It's a 7-layer cake. It's like all layers.
Wow.
Actually, it's right. I know. It's like a family joke. I grew up with like 7-layer cake. It was like, if you cannot have Shabbos without 7-layer cake. But like from the fridge. I don't know. Yes. You know that feeling, like that taste in your mouth. Yeah. I don't know, but they still make it. You also had that growing up? Was it like that everybody thinks that? Do you remember the triangle one? So everybody grew up with 7-layer cake, yeah? Okay. Was it just not the Schwabes? But then when we discovered meltaways, I was like, where have you been my whole life? I love a meltaway. So there's like, yeah. Yeah.
I have to pose a question on the question.
Oh, okay, let's do question on question.
How can we quantify what is a level or layer
I turn
of
this way?
connection with Hashem when everyone connects to Hashem differently because we all have different purposes in this world?
Okay, so we can't really quantify.
Yeah.
That's a good question. But remember how many times we spoke about that you can't quantify anything. You can't, like, remember when we used to say, like, oh, I see somebody, like, not dressed nice. I'm like, well, at least I dress nice, right? Right? So, no, you can't compare anybody's level. So, also, we don't know levels of people. We don't know who's Benoni. We don't know who's Tzaddik. Right. We don't know who's a Rasha. I mean, maybe we do. But, like, we can't. We have to just keep, like, our own, like, toothbrush chart. Like, I can't be like, oh, she lied. She didn't really brush her teeth. She just put 5 stickers on it.
But not
like,
even that, like, within a deeper level, even like, yeah, even within yourself, like you can't,
How do
you
you
can't
know
always
what's
hear
going on?
that like,
Do you-
this is a better level of connection, but like at the time of my life where I was then, that was the type of relationship I needed with Hashem.
So it's
then.
personal.
And right now, this is the
Right,
type
like
of
we talk about this,
relationship
like, oh my gosh,
I need
imagine I
now.
had this knowledge when I was a kid, but maybe
Well,
I
it
couldn't
wouldn't
have had it.
met, it wouldn't be as meaningful in your life at that time because Hashem puts you exactly where you are at the time when you're supposed to be there. Certain situations happen at the exact time when it's supposed to happen. Even in